Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am sorry I could not make it this morning for this session, but hopefully, this voice recording can do justice to what I intended to do. It was actually a PowerPoint presentation, but I somehow couldn't get my voice to record in the presentation. There was some technical error, so I thought let me just try to audio record this presentation. Okay. So, the first I would like to talk about is the elements of nature. Like we all know about the four temperaments represent the four different elements, and so there is that connection between Ayurvedic wisdom, Chinese medicine, and the four temperaments. They're all actually essentially saying the same thing. So it's amazing to see that the Asian cultures recognize this already, and it is so ingrained into our ancient medicine system. So the four elements are air, fire, water, and earth. I would just like to go a little bit over each one, and then we'll talk about the sanguines, the air element, a little more in detail. So, as we all know about these four elements, there is also a fifth element, and I would like to talk about that first. So, that is called ether or space. I look at ether as a blanket, a sort of empty space which is holding all of the other four elements together. So, whether it is the stability of earth or the flow of water, the passion and the heat of the fire element, or the lightness of air. So, the element that makes everything else possible is ether or space. So, ether is actually it's like that stillness, the space when we look at the stars at night and we see them, we see the moon, we can see the clouds. Now imagine all of that space within which these different aspects of nature are being held together. So in that way, ether seems to be that holding stillness of the universe, which actually makes everything else possible. Next I'll move on to air. So, air is responsible for all the movement. Air is about, when you think about the seeds moving from one place to another, that happens because of the air, the breeze. When you think about thoughts and ideas, all of that mind and the thought and all of that is also about the air element. Air is that adaptable, changing force of nature. An air element also teaches us to be light, so to forgive and forget. If you look at air, it is quick and light, and it moves into the unknown without the fear of the unknown. So that's the beauty of the air element. The next is fire. Fire has the quality of transformation. When we see how we cook food, the moment we add fire to what we are cooking, it becomes something that is palatable, that's tasty. It helps to disintegrate the nutrients from the vegetables or whatever we are cooking, and make it available for us to absorb. Food also has the fire that comes through the food. In Ayurveda, it's called Agni. Agni means fire. So when Agni is added to food, fire is added to food, it also helps us not just to assimilate food, but also to assimilate thoughts and ideas. Fire has a nature to burn hot and quick and bring destruction all around it. And at the same time, it can be slow, hidden in the earth. And it's like that fire in the belly, it can be internalized. Imagine when we use this term fire in the belly, it also means a certain drive, passion, charisma, sensuality, and that energy that makes you move forward and initiate projects, and really that fire to help you achieve something. So it's a beautiful element of creation, destruction, transformation, which in the Hindu philosophy is such an amazing concept of Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. And each god represents a force of nature, the force of creation, the force of destruction, the force of transformation. And fire literally runs through these three processes of nature. The next element is earth. Earth is the most building or most additive of all elements. So when we think about earth, we think about grounding, stability, and that solid supportiveness. Imagine, when you are not feeling very good and you just go out for a walk barefoot. When your feet touch the grass, the beautiful moist earth, that cool feeling through your feet helps you relax. So that is the nature of the earth. It is so accepting. One of my interests in life is transformational life coaching, and I have been doing it over the last many years, apart from my interest in arts and painting. And when I'm with a client and they share with me what they are going through, and it's not always easy to hear people's deep stories of pain and trauma and what they have seen in their lives. So after the end of that session, when they leave my space, I take the next 20 to 30 minutes to just lie down on the ground. And I feel that all of what I have within me, all of that I received from the client, I can let it dissipate in earth. And it just takes in all that I shed into it, and it replaces it with so much love. So earth is actually one of my favorite elements. Next is the element of water. So water is lubrication, moisturization, assimilation, softening, lubricating, nourishing. It's such a beautiful element. Like when you think about your morning shower and you think about the curries, where we add so much water to cook. It's all such a, imagine all of that goes into your system and all of that water helps to um, lubricate. It makes you feel so nourished. One of my favorite foods is dal, lentil in Indian food, and lentils are such a nourishing food, lentil and rice. So water is a beautiful element of cleansing. It's an experience that teaches you how to be adaptive, how to take the shape of the container you're put in, how to be not so rigid. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about sanguines. So, sanguines are really a representation of the air element. Sanguines remind me of spring, of butterflies, of beautiful little buds showing up and slowly blossoming into these wonderfully colorful flowers. The feeling of winter turning into spring, it's just such a light expression of the self. The winter time in Ayurveda is really a time to reflect, go inward, much like the hibernation phase. And after you've done that, it's time to come out, bring all of that learning into this world and lighten up yourself. And that's where you'll see a lot of people start going back into a healthy routine and exercise. So that's the nature of spring. Sanguines are spring. Sanguine people, sanguine kids are excited to wake up, to do new things, to meet new people, to go to new places, to start a new project. They are very, very adaptive. Wherever you take them, wherever you place them, they are very adaptive. They are literally the joy of life. If you think about the effervescence, when you get something like, and the brightness, the joy. So physically, they may look slender and very fairy like. They'll be light on their feet. They'll often walk on their toes and with a bounce. I see that with my daughter quite a lot, that she'll walk on her toes, and that may often mean that she'll lose balance and fall off sometimes. But that's the lightness of her being. So the three words that come to describe sanguine is effervescence, zest, and enthusiasm. So when a sanguine child or person is in balance, they are a ray of light and hope, positivity. They have the energy to bring things together. They will see connections where others may see differences. They are enthusiastic and very attractive. Their can do energy is like a current, and everyone will get swept into that current. So, their energy is very, very, very attractive. And they can be the types of leaders who will see good in others, and they'll find each person's unique gifts and different ways to optimize these gifts for the good of all. Now, when these people are imbalanced, they may start new projects but not finish. They may make plans but fail to follow through. They love to meet people, but they may not be able to make deeper friendship. They may sometimes ignore deeper or more difficult emotions within themselves and people around them because they want to be so light that they'll want to avoid that. So, now I would like to talk about how do we soothe the imbalance in sanguine kids. And I'll give a little bit of my experience with my daughter being a sanguine. So, number one, you can encourage a grounding activity, anything which requires the feet and ground. Foot movements, whether it is walking on a trail, some connection to earth, or in Noor's case, it is Indian classical dance, which involves a lot of foot movement, a lot of footwork. She'll spend an hour and a half every week doing that. And that seems to keep her so sort of connected to earth because they're almost like the cloud up in the sky. You cannot even keep them too closer to the ground because their natural way of being is more airy. But introducing these experiences of connection with earth is very helpful. Second is calm and soothe the fast mind, the mind of ideas and movements. So I like to touch her forehead. I'll just put my palm on her forehead and I'll move it to the head. So it's a very gentle touch that makes them feel loved. And that helps them ground a lot too, because when you touch their forehead, that's the place of these ideas and thoughts, and it helps to relax their mind down. Then one can use different types of soothing, calming music. Maybe music that have a more of a wooden touch to them. Think about an Indian flute or bamboo flute, which is made out of a tree, bark, the instrument. And you can think about snuggling on the couch and reading stories, like a lot of physical touch, singing songs, singing from the heart, singing from your life, and that will help channel the moving energy into creative expression. So, creative expression, when it comes to music, dance, movement, all of this are actually feminine pursuits and they go into the earth, they trigger the earth elemental balance in them. So, when you channel that moving energy into an expression which is, activities can also be um, classified into different elements, like seasons can be classified into different elements. So all of these are so connected. So if you channel this moving energy into creative expression, that helps to soothe the balance too. When it comes to food, now since their nature is light and dry, so you can give them food which is opposite of that. So instead of giving them dry food, something that's put into the oven and all the moisture gets lost into the heat, maybe give them something which is steamed, water rich foods like fruits, vegetables, freshly made warm foods, lots of nice grains with spices like cinnamon, ginger, star anise, peppers, but not very heavy foods as their nature is to remain light. And then one more thing could be introducing different aromas in the house that are sweet and warm, like the smell of cinnamon, cloves, lavender, maybe vanilla, bee, sage, all of these different smells. How can you support a sanguine child? First is their nature is not to be focused. Their nature is to be a little bit dreamy like. So we cannot force attentiveness into them. We rather focus on the child's existing attributes. So if the child is good at X, Y, and Z, then sort of strengthening that aspect of themselves. But if we say, okay, do this, focus on this, put your full attention, that may not happen because they tend to go into that dream-like thought, imaginative space quite often. More than all other elements, the sanguine child needs someone to love. So, if you can awaken that magical love within the child for somebody, like for example, when I look at my daughter, she has this expression of awe when she goes for a dance classes and she looks at her teacher and what she's teaching. She's just in that sense of awe, and I'm already feeling that love is being triggered in her, not just for the dance form, but also for this person who's bringing that dance form to her. She also has that same awe when I do some chanting or introduce just some different types of songs to her which are spiritual in nature, and she just feels it in her heart. So, to trigger that emotion of love in them through different experiences. And with sanguines, they may lose their interest fast. So, one thing is you can introduce them to an activity that they love to do it for some time, then withdraw it for a few weeks, then bring them back again. And somehow that helps to intensify that interest. It restores that interest. So, so that is all about the sanguine and the different elements. And I think what really comes to mind is that every child, whether it is any element, every child's uniqueness should be celebrated and firstly accepted. And I think whatever we do in our book clubs, what's truly essential is for them to be connected to their place of love, their heart. And to develop the strength through activities that solidify their own confidence. So, this is all from my end, and hope it wasn't too long. Thank you.